Today is a very special video. It's one I've been wanting to do for a while, and I wanted to wait until the channel had been around a little bit before doing so. Today, I'm going to talk to you about my financial independence journey, kind of where it started, and the motivation to get us to where my wife and I, where we are now. And it's my hope by sharing this story that you will be motivated to make the small changes that will make a big difference in your life so that you can reach financial independence and retire early, or at least have the option. So thank you for watching, and thanks for being part of this story. Hey everybody, it's David from David in Progress, where we talk about financial independence, retiring early, and living your best life now from the perspective of someone that is doing his best to actually do it. So picture this. This is my life in May of 1998. It's May 28th, actually, 1998. I am married. My wife and I at that point have been married about 2.5 years. We have a 9-month-old son that, of course, I just absolutely adore. In my work life, I've just got that first job, that is the foundation for this incredible future that you are going to have. It's my first time to be a manager, and I'm finally making what feels like some decent money. I'm also in a new house, a new to us house, our very first house. So things are great. I got the marriage, I got the kid, I got the career, I got the house, all those things that, the American dream that is setting you up for the future. So that morning on May 28th, I get up, I get in the shower, taking a shower just like, every typical morning. And I'm washing underneath my arm and I feel a lump. And then I press a little harder and I feel a second lump. Well, I immediately knew what it was. I immediately knew that I had cancer. I knew this because 5 years earlier, I'd had a mole removed off the back, the center of my back, which came back to be melanoma. And since that time, I've been paranoid about cancer. A few years earlier, my mother had died of cancer. And I had gone through that experience with her, seeing everything that she had gone through. I was so worried about it before I got married because of the mole that I went and had an appointment with an oncologist. And I wanted to ask him what the chances were of the cancer coming back. I did not want to experience what my mother had experienced, nor did I want a family to experience that. And I'll never forget the oncologist. He kind of pat me on the back and said, "Hey, David, go live your life. Things are going to be fantastic." Well, after feeling the lump, I got dressed, I went into work, and I gave that same oncologist a call and asked for an appointment. I go in to see him, and he does the same as I had done in the morning. He feels underneath my arm, and he feels that lump, and he feels the second lump. And then he looks at me and says, "Hey, David, what about those lumps on your neck? How long have you had those?" I had no idea that I had it in multiple places. And I'm going to fast forward the story a little bit and tell you just what happened. I ended up with a couple of tumors under my arm, and then a couple of tumors on my neck. And then eventually they took out the lymph nodes on my arm, and I had tumors, or I had cancer throughout my lymphatic system. So as you might guess, the prognosis for all this was not good. I ended up doing the chemotherapy thing. I did something called immunotherapy, surgeries, radiation. So starting on that May 28th, 1998 through Christmas, really Christmas Eve was my final radiation treatment. I always consider May 28th to be lump day, is what I always call it. And I celebrate that usually quietly, just in my mind. So I would love to tell you that after getting through that cancer experience, that I did some amazing cancer-free things, that, I went and did the skydiving, the Rocky Mountain climbing, the riding a bull named Fu Manchu. I did not do those things. Now, I'm married. I got this young kid. I got this mortgage. I have a car payment at that time. I was not really worried about me. I just did not want to leave them without the resources they needed. So I continued with my career. I really did nothing differently with my life. And then finally, About 5 or 6 years later, I started learning more about debt-free living and investing and saving. And I did some math, and I figured out if I saved just 10% or so of our income, if we save that, over a period of time, we could reach financially independence. And it wasn't called that at the time. I didn't use that term. In my mind, I just thought, what year could I potentially be where work is optional? And I wrote down 2024 on a Post-it note. I chose that year for a couple reasons. One, I figured by 2024, if I were still alive, the son by that point would have graduated college or trade school, whatever he chose to do. It ended up being college. Most likely would be married and maybe even have a kid or two. And I wrote that date down on a Post-it note. I stuck it up in my cubicle. And almost every day from that point forward, whenever I was really stressed out at work, or maybe I was thinking about going out and buying something that, the world around me was buying, the new cars or moving off to a bigger house, that type of thing, I looked at that note and thought, no, this is my vision. My vision is that by that year, we will have work optional. Could I have done an earlier year and gone crazy? Probably. But that was not really what I wanted. I wanted to do what is now called Slow-Fi, where along this journey, we would live very conservatively. We would still do things, but I knew, that the math told me that by 2024, at even a conservative investment strategy, we could be financially independent. So that Post-it note motivated me almost every day. It's fantastic. Now, investing-wise, what did I do with investing? The number one thing I did was I was consistent. Now, going back to, when I first started working in 1991 and I read that book, The Millionaire Next Door, I started putting money into my 401k. Very simple. I invested up until the match. Once I decided to start that journey to be financially independent, I thought I was doing great because I got up to probably 10% or so. So in general, we were not investing more than 10% of our income. I have a spreadsheet showing how much I've saved going back almost 20 years. And typically it was less than 10%. But we did this over a long period of time. What did we invest in? Simple, kept it simple, nothing but low cost index funds. This is before the J.O. Collins stuff. It just made sense to me when I looked at it. Now, what fund could I find that had a very strong 10-year track record where it was making from 8% on up? And then with that fund, what were the costs? What was the expense ratio? How much was that fund going to cost me? Did it have a load fee? Those type of things. So I invested not in individual stocks, not in anything fancy, just low cost mutual funds that had a very long-term positive return. That is it. That is all that I had to do. And gradually over those years, suddenly the numbers start to compound, all those things that you hear. And lo and behold, here we are. It is May of 2024, the date I put on that Post-it note more than 20 years ago. And we have reached financial independence. So how does this story relate to you? And what can you do with this information? Well, first of all, I hope it doesn't take a lump or something tragic or a big stress in your life to motivate you to reach financial independence. Too many people only start this journey because they are in some type of stress. That stress may be that they hate their job and they've got to save money and invest and do all those things for this future thing so that they can escape from that. Or they have some type of personal experience like I did that kicks them forward. Those things are great if it helps you. But you don't need a tragedy. You don't need a terrible job. You don't need some type of stress for you to do this. Anybody can do this. All you need to do is get out of debt, start saving. The longer you have to save, the less you have to, and then let the system work. It works. It doesn't matter what your income is necessarily. If you are consistent and you save, you can reach financial independence. The other thing that helped me with that 2024 date is I realized what our expenses were. I started tracking, if we had to do the minimum, if we had to pay the minimum, what would that cost be? And we spreadsheeted it out. Started tracking our net worth. How much did we owe and how much did we have? Really simple to do that. Especially once you get 100% out of debt, everything is positive in your net worth. Things are just going to grow, which is fantastic. So here's what you can do. Work to get out of debt, understand your expenses, and just start saving consistently. Start saving consistently in those low-cost index funds. Don't chase the quick fix. It's a long journey. And I know that you can reach financial independence. You can travel that road. You can get there. You can retire early, or you can just retire with enough in the bank that you can do what you want. Either way, you can do it. And I hope that you will. And I especially hope that you won't wait for some type of lump. We all have them. For some type of thing to cause you to have that trigger. Maybe this video is your trigger. And maybe today is your day. Today is the day that you can do that post-it note moment where you write down when you will reach your number. You do the math, and then you start doing the work to make it happen. I sincerely believe that you can. So thank you for hearing my story. When you hear me reference a cancer survivor in my videos, now you know what I'm talking about. And I want to thank you for subscribing to my channel. I want to thank you for the thumbs up. And I especially thank you for the comments. And I would love to hear from you. What is your motivation for financial independence? Why do you want to retire early? And once you achieve those two things, what is your next step? What are you going to do with that gift? What are you going to do with that independence? And how is your life journey going to be fantastic? I'd love to hear from you. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of David in Progress.